2. Today's edition of the afternoon edition. My name is Isa Nu. Today we shall be focusing on the National Assembly, as the resumption of the National Assembly will definitely spark so many issues in terms of development. We understand the basic role they play in terms of laws formulation, but then how far have they gone with respect to how they coordinate themselves with other arms of government to see that yes, what is passed as law in the country today is properly implemented. And that way, if we follow it up, definitely we are going to see major changes in the country. So the National Assembly play a very key role for the development of this nation, just like the executive arm who has their own responsibility to play, or the legislative arms who also have their own role to play. The law used by the land is as a result of what the National Assembly put forward and approved and assented by the House and then the President. But then, moving forward today, with this resumption, what are the major changes we should be expecting from this House, that's the 10th Assembly? And to discuss that with us today is Ambassador Musa Mohammed Soken, that's the National President of the APC Initiative for Good Governance. But let me take you through this snippet before we go for this break. And one of the most famous reasons for emphasizing policy implementation lies in the pursuit of social progress and laws addressing issues such as healthcare, education, environmental protection are meaningless if they remain dormant in the statute of the books. Effective implementation ensures that the intended beneficiaries reap the benefit envisioned by lawmakers. Furthermore, policy implementation fosters accountability within governance structures when laws are faithfully executed. It reinforces trust in public institutions and elected representatives. Conversely, failure to implement policies breeds disillusionment among citizens and eroding the very foundation of democratic governance. So the National Assembly serves as the fulcrum of policy implementation, holding the authority to enact, amend, and repeal laws. However, its efficacy hinges on collaboration across branches of government, civil society, and the private sector. Successful implementation requires robust coordination, adequate resources, and transparent monitoring mechanisms. Moreover, the pursuit of policy implementation transcends partisan divides. While political ideologies may differ, the collective goal remains the same: to advance the welfare of the populace. Therefore, bipartisanship and consensus building are indispensable tools in driving meaningful change through legislative action. So these are key aspects of it, and definitely National Assembly will always want to see or want to hear from the civil society, and we also want to see or hear from some of the appointees of government to know how they are driving home their demands. So these are the key issues we are going to be focusing today. The executive always have their secretary, who is the secretary of the government of the federation, to always look at some of these things the executive want to put in place. The secretary try as much as possible to harmonize them in such a way that they are implementable. And then the judiciary, whenever there are issues, definitely will always find a place to serve as the mediator in terms of interpreting the laws of the land for the betterment of the citizens. So we'll go on this break, and when we return, we'll continue with the conversation. Welcome back, and just before the break, I did inform you our focus today will definitely be on the National Assembly. With this resumption, what changes are you expecting? Are we looking forward to a situation whereby we don't have some of the bottlenecks we used to have in the past with respect to the 9th Assembly, the 8th Assembly, and the 7th Assembly? Now we see a National Assembly that seems to be, that seem to be a bit connected with respect to the leadership, the executive of the National Assembly, and also the executive governors or arms of government in the country. I apologize for this, that was due to code. But then, let me quickly bring in my guest in person of Ambassador Musa Mohammed Soken. Ambassador, good afternoon once more, and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
It's nice having you this afternoon, and sorry I had to pull you down because the National Assembly has resumed fully the House of Reps resumed, I think, a week before now, but then the Senate, they resumed on Monday. So how does this National Assembly will ensure proper implementation of policies of the president?
Basically, you know, Nigerian is operating a kind of system that is coined on the executives, the legislatures, and the judiciary. And executive arms of government play a very vital role in formulating policies and making sure that all steps is taken to ensure that all the policies that are formulated are as well implemented for national growth and development of the country. So the National Assembly play a very vital role in ensuring that such policies and programs that are formulated are as well being implemented.
Well, that's a very good one. But then, if you see over time, when you look at the numbers of laws that has been formulated, and then you look at the policy driven by so many presidents, you still discover that if we follow that pattern, we would have gone beyond our present predicament. Why are we having that problem? Most of the times the executive put up a policy for the betterment or for the welfare of the citizen, and then we have the laws guiding it, of which we have representative from all states, and be it national, be it at the state level, but then we don't see the effectiveness of this policy on ground.
Well, for policy to be fully implemented, some courts have to be taken into consideration. That is the nationalistic aspiration of the players and the willpower of such players in the game to have the country at heart and also have the zeal to see that such policies and programs are fully implemented. We have it wrong when we elected the wrong leaders. And in order to correct that, roles that are to ensure that all these people are taken into, question is to bring on board the right people. And luckily enough, the people we are having on board today are people that have the experience. The white man says life is like a bank account. You withdraw only what you save, and experience is the interest. Today we are having people like in the National Assembly, Senator Akpabio, who is the Senate President, is somebody who has experience not only in the legislative, but also as an executive, because he has served as a governor, so he knows the rudiments of governance. So having all these people on board is a step forward to ensure that some of these laws that are being formulated will be actually executed and implemented as well. Is also dissenting in terms of the House of Representatives, represented by Tajuddin Abbas, who has also been in the legislative business for long. So these people have experience. But in other, where people are so ambitious and overzealous, all these things have steps for them to be fully implemented. So all that is needed is steadfastness. With the course of time and the people we have on board, believing me, by the special grace of God, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is someone who has, as we always know, the country at heart. And with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who has also been in the legislative business for long, and also was an executive officer, I think with the course of time, all these policies and programs will take its full course. Most especially now that the technology have taken over the correction of corruption. With that, I mean technology is being used to checkmate the activities of both the legislators and the executives. So with the course of time, we are believing that all those that we are thinking are going to serve as people that are going to truncate the orderliness or the development of the country will wipe out, and the country will have the best of her moments.
You've stated so much with respect to that, and I can also see the triangular aspect you are looking at the SGF, who plays a major role in the executive arm of government. You look at the president, who has his own ambition of what he actually wants Nigeria to be in the next 4 years or fully beyond that. And then you also have those who formulate the law in terms of the National Assembly, looking at the two key persons, the president of the Senate, and also that of the House of Reps. Looking at these key people, if you look at the cabinet of the president also, you discover that there are previous members of House of Reps or probably senator who are serving in this particular cabinet. But don't you think this should be one of the most beautiful moments in governance, where you have people actually from former House members or probably senators who are leading as cabinet member? Don't you think that should be a major leap? There should be a major leap in terms of development in the country.
Yes, of course. And that is what we are actually considering. It is our belief that by the special grace of God, within a stipulated time, the government have taken up properly, and it's already 1 year. So we are going to be counting our profits very soon, and Nigeria will be happy. We know people have actually experienced hardship, but Aristotle actually says if you know the cause of destruction, then you actually know the cause of trying to put things in order. So these people, because of their experiences, they have a lot to offer, and they are taking it one after the other. And by the special grace of God, just as you have noted, the country will have the best of her moments.
Okay, moving forward now, one key aspect that is bothering all Nigeria is the issue of security. And despite all the laws that were put in place, we still have issues on insecurity. How can the National Assembly play a major role? Because the issue is not just about summoning the head of the security agencies and the rest. How can they play a major role beyond the issue of summoning these security chiefs?
Yes, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have taken bold steps by declaring some of the most essential ways of dealing with insecurity. And one among them is the food security. Food security is one of the major aspects of dealing with the security situation in the country, going by the targeting the human needs. It is believed that when people are hungry, they are angry. And one other aspect Mr. President have taken to ensure that all this comes to fruition is by taking the right person. Who am I talking about? The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, is a visionary leader who is making sure that he transformed the ministry by partnering with other sister organizations and countries to ensure that what is needed in the country for the availability of substantial food in the country take the orders of the day. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture have traveled out with Mr. President severally in Netherlands, in Saudi Arabia, as all the news, the national news have taken it. And all these steps is taken towards ensuring that the food security aspect take its full charge, where people will have the best in agricultural productivity and availability and sustainable to that note. So this is one area of dealing with insecurity. And another section is by employment, to ensure that youths are adequately engaged to find a means of survival. Mr. President has also taken the bold step towards ensuring that youths are adequately involved in the arts of governance, as well as having employment opportunities. And going by that, if you educate the youth, you have educated the nation. Mr. President does not stop on all that I have already mentioned. He go ahead to provide a means of getting things easy and right by profiling the solution to see that students got a loan that would go a long way to ensure that they get the education that is so needed and so important to transform the country. So going by these three variables alone, it covers virtually all the angles that is needed to ensure that security is being tackled. That is centering on the human need. And I think these are the basic ways to take, or the basic action that is should be taken and implemented in order to liberate the country of the security challenges we are facing. When about killing the citizens, I think that is not enough, even though the way and in the security architecture they are sabotaging the security of the country. But other measures should be taken in order to combat the situation even before it happens. And that is the right step taken in the right direction by Mr. President to ensure that all these things are dealt with, uprooted and condemned totally in order to ensure that the country is safe and secure.
Okay, when it comes to that issue of safety, still there are so many questions in terms of security, because one aspect of the National Assembly, most especially the legislators there, is to say that yes, there is this oversight function whenever activities of government or governance is taking place. Do you think they've done so much with respect to the issue of oversight function, apart from what we noticed in Kaduna State, where we understand that yes, they had to contribute their money to give it to that particular village, not Kuriga this time, the one close to the forest where there was a bombing that took place, and then the army actually came out to apologize. But do you think they've taken or they've carried out enough oversight function to follow up some of this budget they approve?
You know, the issue of security and insecurity is something that is international, and dealing with them is something that you don't expect it at a dot time. Some steps, some measures have to be taken in order to ensure that this scenario, ugly scenario, is being tackled and operated from the root. So virtually is my belief that with the experiences of these state actors, steps are being put in place in order to ensure that the country get it right in terms of security and safety of the nation. But then it's a gradual process that some will be obvious and some need time to be unveiled. But actually some serious steps are taken by the executives and the judiciary as well as the legislatures to ensure that all these security challenges are being toppled to the lowest barriers level. So all strategies have already been put in place by Mr. President, because the issue of security is what bothered Mr. President so seriously. It's something he has not been sleeping upon it, and is doing everything that is within the tenets of the law and everything that is within his own capacity to ensure that the issue of security has been tackled and being toppled completely.
Okay, still on that particular aspect, but then when you look at the laws guiding Nigeria today, you look at the civil defense, you look at the immigration, you look at the custom and other paramilitary, and including the armed forces and the police, you discover that all this law that have been put in place over time, do you think there's a strong need for a review of the law? Because to an extent we still have one or two. Yes, we understand that banditry probably maybe have reduced. We still have issue of secession and the rest of it like that still coming up, rearing their head. So do you think the laws should be reviewed in such a way that yes, new things can be brought in for them to be able to perform effectively?
Yes, actually, yes. In spite of the fact that we have all this security architecture and personnel that we have then in the country, there is still need, because security is a very wide range of area that is supposed to be there with in total. Because of that, security is supposed to be everybody's business. So there's no amount of personnel that you employ in security that you will say it is enough. So I'm looking at a situation whereby the communities will also be engaged in the security architecture of their various community. That is to say, youth in every community should be trained. A particular amount of youth in every community should be trained in order to play a very vital role in curtailing the security situation in their own community. In spite of the conventional security personnel that we have, the civil defense, the army, the police, and other security personnel, still there is a need for us to engage the youths in the community. And I think by doing that, it's going to serve as another area of tackling the insecurity directly or indirectly by giving job opportunity to the youths. By engaging them, it means you provide a means of living for them. And also they will contribute to ensure that the safety of their various community is being guaranteed. So taking those steps of involving the youths in their own various community, because they are in a better position to acknowledge the strangers that invade into their own communities. There is no way any attack on community can effectively be carried out without the involvement of the people of that particular community. So in that regard, if the youths in the community are adequately engaged to participate and form part of the security architecture of their various community, I'm telling you, they are going to play a very vital role that is going to subdue every form of insecurity in that particular community.
The president has so many agendas, most especially when you look at it from the renewed up agenda position. But then one key aspect that has always redefined issues in the country, and most especially in the National Assembly, is the issue of anti-corruption. Do you think they've done much with respect to how they fight corruption, or how the anti-graft agencies fight corruption in the country? Do you think the National Assembly have done much?
Yes, because the power of law is vested in the legislatures. The legislators are the architects of the laws, formulation of laws and policies. Well, the executives are there to ensure that all these laws are taken and implemented as well. So this, the legislature have played their role, and they are still on it. The issue in Nigeria is not that of formulations of policies, but the implementation. So with the steps Mr. President is taking in order to fight corruption by employing the technological know-how, that is another area to which I will say kudos to Mr. President, because in that direction it's going to guarantee zero-level corruption. And Mr. President have his own court of checkmating all the government, the government state, let me say the state actors, by their performance record. You can see that it is not longer news that Mr. President make it clear that all the executives, that is the ministers and some other people that are appointed, will be checkmated, and their record of performance will also be taken into serious cognizance, so that if you don't perform, or you misappropriate government funds, you are going to check out of the system. So I think that is a very bold steps taken towards a very good direction to ensure that this corruption that is eating deep in the fabric of development in Nigeria is being taken care of and dealt with completely.
Before I move actually into this corruption issue, one aspect that you mentioned, which is of critical concern still, I'll just reverse a bit to the issue of security still, that you raised the issue of getting the youth involved in community policing, which is a very good one. But then do you think the National Assembly should support the issue of state police? Are we ripe for that?
The issue of state police is something that has been on debate for long. While others are subscribing for the state police, others are trying to disassociate or disapprove that law of the state police, thinking that perhaps if the state police are being, the issue of state police is being taken into consideration and implemented as a law, or formulated and implemented as a law, some of the state government will abuse the state policing of the matter. But in the other hand, I'm looking at it in a different direction. Just look at the insecurity that bedeviled this country. I think one of the primary areas to which every nation will look at for our development is the issue of security. There's not any country in the world that will develop with the security challenges not being taken into serious consideration and tackled. So the state police are not looking at it as a threat, because the federal police are there, and I believe the state police are going to be under the federal police, and they are going to be checkmate. The activity will be controlled by the national security. So to me, I think instead of allowing people to be killed on daily basis just for the notion that the state governors are going to use it for their political ambition and what have you, I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at the safety first of the people of that state. The right to vote and to be voted out lies in their fingers. So it is now left for them in the community or in the state to decide with the power of vote. If their governor is performing, they should bring him in. And if he's not performing, despite the state police, they should ignore the power that is vested on that ground and concentrate in doing the right thing in order to ensure that they secure their various states using the state police. So me, I'm in complete support of the state police.
But then in the National Assembly, do you see the possibility of a very tight debate on this particular issue. If you remember, during the before the last election, when the law was being reviewed in terms of that of the Independent National Electoral Commission with respect to using electronic voting or not, you can see how tense the condition was then in the National Assembly. So for that of the state police, it is still the just like you've rightly stated, so governors may want to abuse it. Now that we don't have state police, we've also seen abuse in some of the activities or the manners they carry out, issues that has to do with managing security in their state. So do you see a National Assembly that will all stand up to say, look, it is high time we start with the state police, or you see a major contention in National Assembly?
No, I don't think there will be a bone of contention in the National Assembly regarding that, even though I know it's natural. Others may support it and others may not support it. But there is a synergy and good working relationship between the legislatures and the executives. And in the center, having someone who has the experience as a governor, as a legislator who has served in the Senate for about 3 times, as a minister, and now the secretary to the government of the Federation. I'm talking about His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume. He has that experience, and I think he's going to play a very vital role to ensure that all these legislators and the executives bring on the same table, where some of these things will be tabled and resolved amicably. And I'm seeing that by the special grace of God, this issue of state policing is going to take the order of the day, because they are going to be guided by rules and regulations. It's not that if there is state police, the state police will just be acting based on what the governor tells them to do. No, the governor is all he's doing is subjected to laws and orders. He has the don'ts, the do's and don'ts. So in that regard, the formation of the state police is not going to be an obstruction to the security scenario in the state. Hence, they are going to have their guiding principles, and some of these steps or principles or laws should be guided towards ensuring that the governors did not abuse the state policy. So to me, I think it's a good thing to have a state police guided by tight laws that will prevent it from abuse by the state governors and other state actors.
Okay, that's the position of Ambassador Musa Mohammed Soken. But then we've been discussing issues that borders on the National Assembly and the role they play in the implementation of the policies or the policy of the government. We understand, yes, their basic role is to say that, yes, they formulate laws, they make laws available for the daily activities of governance. But then they still have beyond that, because the issue of oversight function comes in. Every year you discover that agencies, ministry, department and ministries, they go to the National Assembly to defend their budget. So the power of oversight also play a major role to see that, yes, when they defend the budget approved, assented by the president, they'll be able to go back to the field to see if actually those budgets are carried out effectively. So we'll go on a very short break, and when we return back, we'll definitely continue this conversation as we have few questions for Ambassador Mohammed Soken of the APC Initiative for Good Governance, and stay with us here in the studio. There are a few questions just remaining for you to be able to climax the program. One aspect of this particular question is looking at the current National Assembly, which you've actually eulogized the leadership of the Assembly, but then we still have series of issues within them. Just recently, you discovered that an issue was raised, the issue of budget padding, which at the end of the day, it was kicked aside, that it wasn't actually budget padding. How do you see them checkmating themselves?
This issue of budget padding, I think, is something that is so serious, but people have to understand even what is budget. Budget doesn't mean money on the ground. But when people talk about budget padding and order, I look at it and I think maybe budget is something different. Budget is not money on the ground, but it's an estimate of government plan of action regarding the resources of the country. So in that regard, I think some of these statements of padding is fabulous and have a kind of misconception regarding it, though it's an opinion that is validated and everyone has his own opinion regarding that and may have a kind of limited knowledge of all that regarding the budget. But to my own understanding, budget is just a plan of action, not money on ground.
Okay, with this perception that you have, but then if you look at it from the way things are, don't you think it actually means that there is no much of information amongst the legislators before they actually, or there is no much enlightenment among the legislators before some of them actually stand up to speak on issues like this, like the last one that happened between Ningi and then the leadership?
Yes, of course, and I think that is why some stringent measures have been taken against him. But in order to have a kind of unanimous and effective legislative business, for the first time, he should be pardoned, and he should come back as one family to try to, bring down their problems to the table and resolve it amicably. But the issue of saying something without the consent of, as for instance, he being a leader, I don't think he should have come out and said that. But actions have already been taken in order to correct the situation. However, I think he should be pardoned for that, and they should have a kind of unanimous house where unity, peace, and progress of the legislature will take the order of the day in order to ensure that economic growth and economic development of the country is being prioritized, having in mind the people that are architect in formulating and implementing laws are the legislatures. So they should not be derailed by such type of argument that that is not actually good for the country. They should have a unanimous house, and having His Excellency Senator Akpabio and Tajuddin as experienced legislators in the National Assembly, I think that is not something very hard to deal with, and the House will come back united and strong, and stronger than ever before.
In your own estimation, do you think the leadership have done well in managing the House, both leadership?
Yes, of course, because prior to this time, we have been seeing a lot of hitches between the legislators and the executives. Today, if you see, there's a harmonious working relationship between the legislators and the executive, and I think that is very good for the country. So whatever you expect, you get it in the United House.
Okay, on the last note, what will you say finally in terms of their resumption, and what are your expectations?
Yes, I think what I am expecting, or rather what I expect them to do, as I earlier stated, is for them to have a kind of unanimous house where things of national interest will be discussed. And they should prioritize national interests against their own personal interests. If that is done, I think the country will have the best of its moments. But in the situation where people prioritize their personal gain against the gains of their constituencies, I think that is not good for the country. But prioritizing the economic growth and the economic development of the country should come first before any other personal gains.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Musa Mohammed Soken, national leader of the APC Initiative for Good Governance. It's nice always having you, and you seem to understand, and we hope that one day you'll definitely be there. We know you're already there, but we hope and we pray that yes, better opportunities also come, so that we can continue to tap from your wisdom and your ways of doing things. This is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition. I'm discussing with Ambassador Musa Mohammed Soken as well. always a delight for one to be able to get or to have an insight on the activities of governments in the country. My name is Isanu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.